Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us today. My name is Masa and I'm a cloud developer advocate at IBM. And today we will be building a crisis communication chatbot using Watson Assistant and Watson Discovery. I have with me my colleagues Sidra and Fawaz. They will be assisting you during the session. If you have any questions, they will be ready to answer your queries. Before we get started, make sure that you have created your IBM Cloud account using this track link. And these are also the resources that we will be using today. So there are starter kit and tutorial. So first of all, I would like to talk about how in the current pandemic, we're facing, this huge crisis. And with technology nowadays, so many people across the world are coming up with solutions to tackle the issue from different aspects, focusing on research, health, community, and education. So for example, you can find applications that detect COVID-19 on a chest using CT scans, or world map cases and predictions, applications that focus on cooperation and communication, in addition to enhancing the remote education and remote work, and health and research, in addition to using IoT applications to track the temperature of people and other types of IoT applications. So yeah, so really we have so much of resources that can help us to tackle the current issue we're facing. And today we're building a chatbot. But why are we building a chatbot? Because it's very helpful and useful to improve the customer experience. So it can personalize their experience, it can multitask, and it can respond to humans as it is available for 24 hours all the time. And so yeah, whenever the human needs any answer, the chatbot is ready. In addition to improving internal processes, as it can, if you have a query regarding something important, but you might not be redirected to the right person from the beginning, so it's going to be a very long process. But with the chatbots, this process can be enhanced and it can be much faster. This way it will bring it will attract the customers to use the product more. Therefore, it will reduce costs. So I'm going to share the links with you in the chat. Yeah, just give me a second. Now, these links. Okay. Okay, it's not giving me the option to share them. I hope that I will share them with you on Slack after the session, so you
yes,
can.
That's better.
Yeah, so you can follow the tutorial at your own convenience. So I will get started with showing you around the starter kits we have at IBM, and therefore Call for Code, which is an initiative, and we'll be talking about it later. So yeah, so these starter kits can be, they can be helpful for your applications to get started and to make use of the technologies we're using, like you need to use in your applications. So there are 3 types of starter kits. So there's the crisis communication, remote education, and community cooperation. And there will be like in much more details if I'm going to explain them, but you can go ahead and check them. That way that puts you.
I don't know how.
Yeah. Okay, so I will show you the crisis communication starter kit, which is going to be our focus for the day. Okay, so here in this starter kit, we have four tutorials, and they are kind of like they follow each other. So the first one, which we will be doing today, and we're going to connect it to data sources. If you want to move on, you can also integrate it with the web or even on Slack, and you can also make it enable voice activation using Node-RED. And yeah, so this is the architecture diagram of what we will be building, and it's showing you three main components, which are the Watson Assistant, IBM Cloud Functions, and Watson Discovery. So Watson Assistant is what is the chatbot that we will be using. Is the service that we will be using to build our chatbot. IBM Cloud Function is a function as a service, and it allows you to build applications without the need for a server, and you can connect it to APIs in your application. And Watson Discovery helps you to analyze text from documents and online resources. So let's get started. You can get started with the tutorial here. I will be following the tutorial, and I will show you how you can implement it. And it's very easy. There is the GitHub link here. Okay. Yeah, so this is the Git repo that is going to be the source of our application, and it has the code and the dialog for our application. I will be explaining more in details about Watson Assistant and what does each feature mean. So for starter, we're going to go to IBM Cloud. Make sure that you have already registered, and we're going to start with the provisioning the services. So we can go ahead and search in the search bar, and Watson Assistant. Okay, so let's pick for the region is going to be Dallas. It's much more convenient right now. And we're going to call it Watson Assistant Crisis Communication. And then we're going to create it. We're using the Lite service, so it's going to be free. And yeah, you can use it at your own convenience. So for the second service, which is Watson Discovery, I have already created one, but I'm not going to create a new one because it kind of takes time to do it. So this is what I will be using. This is the service I will be using, and make sure it is Dallas as well. And then the last one, which is the Cloud Functions, I will create it later. Yeah.
Masa?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, but someone is telling us that he can see the screen or hear any voice. The
Really?
people can, yeah, can you just, the attendees, can someone else, you send us the recording by email. I'll send you the recording on Slack.
Okay.
And by mail, yes. Other attendees, guys, can you see the screen of Masa and hear the voice? I'm sorry, Khaled.
No, it's fine. Understandable.
It's yeah. Now, yes, Muhammad. Muhammad now sees the screen. Khaled, can you exit and enter again? And Muhammad Gouda, yes, Ahmad Shafa is saying he can see the screen and he can actually hear us, which is perfect.
Okay. Apologies for that if it's because of my internet.
No, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. I guess something is wrong with Zoom, to be honest, because this is the first time that this happens, and I guess it's Zoom's fault, not the internet's fault.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because I've also tested my internet like few before the webinar.
Yeah, me too. So it's not the internet.
Okay.
And for me, the screen is stuck at Masa has started screen sharing, which is very weird. So it's
Okay.
Zoom.
So is it laggy, or like, can you all follow up with me?
Guys, can you Khalid? Okay, type answered. He sent us the screen. Khalid, can you see the screen now?
Okay.
Khalid actually left because I told him to leave and come again and join again. طيب عادل, Ahmed, Anas, Asala, Muhammad, Rania, Tariq. Guys, if anyone does not see the screen or if anyone does not hear us, please let us know.
Yeah, I mean, most importantly, we have to, make sure that you're following along with us. So
Yes, please. Okay, someone. Tariq can hear us, but he cannot see the screen. Tariq, can you probably leave and rejoin again? And join us again, okay? Thank you. Thank you.
yeah, of course. Okay, so we're back now, and we have, hopefully everyone have provisioned their services. Now we're going to start working with the assistant now. Let's go to the resources list. Yeah, this is the app. This is the service I just created. Here you can find the credentials, and we're going to use them, I think these ones or other ones from inside the assistant later. So this is how it looks like when you first create your service. You get a first assistant, and it is a default assistant. When you click on it, you see that intents, entities, and dialog are all empty, except for the dialog. It has two initial nodes, which are the welcome and anything else, and they are set to true. So welcome, it's like the greetings for when the user first opens the assistant, and anything else is just like it exits the conversation. I will be explaining in more details about each one of these features in Watson Assistant. Now we're going back to we're going to create a new assistant, and let's call it crisis communication. And we're enabling preview link. It is automatically checked, and this one, it allows you to test your Watson Assistant on web with a live link. So first, we're going to add dialog skill, and we're going to add it from the Git repository. And you can find it in a starter kit, and then assistant, and it's going to be this file, which is kill cdc JSON. You can clone the repository, or you can install it and save the file. I have already saved it. And as you can see, it is in JSON format. It starts with the intent objects, and each intent with its own examples are one object. And you can also, it's a very big file, by the way. And it also has entities, objects, and dialog objects. Let me check. Yeah, so here you can find how the entity object looks like. It has the entity name and then the values of the entity. And if you scroll down below, you will find the objects for the dialog nodes. But you will see them now how they look like in Watson Assistant. So we're going to choose file, and yeah, we're going to upload it. So I'm not sure how long this will take. Okay, cool. So let's go in. Okay, so now you can see the difference between when you first created the service and it was empty. Now it has, once you imported the JSON file, it imported all of the intents, entities, and dialog. So I'll start with explaining the intents. What do they mean and how you can use them? Intents are usually like examples of how you know your user is going to talk to the assistant. So for example, animal contact is the name of the intent, and it's like it starts with a hashtag and then the name, and then you can also add description. So after that, these are the examples, and the more examples you provide, the more, you know, the better it will train your Watson assistant. It will be more accurate, and it gave you examples of, can I get a COVID-19 from my pet, or like from my cat, my dog, and so on. So it can be written in natural language, which is pretty cool because it makes it easy for you to you know, think of how the user is going to talk to the assistant in their natural language. And you can also write it in different languages, including the Arabic, which is pretty cool. And once you train it, it can kind of like you know, understand different delegates if you train the right words and the right amount of examples. So here's, for example, a greeting, and it shows you the greetings in different languages or in different ways the user can say them. We can also, for example, how many cases is an intent, and it shows you different examples. So total cases so far, and how many cases of coronavirus has been detected, and so on. So the second you can also create intent from here, and then you can just add more details to it. So like just random word, and then you can just add examples. But I'm going to delete it so it wouldn't do, you know, it wouldn't affect it. You can also import intents from here or export the intents. For the second feature, which is the entities, you have two types of entities. You have my entities, which are related to your own assistant. So it's kind of, let's say, customized. And then the second one, which is system entities, and it is more generalized, and it can be of location, time, date. So these are like some common things that you can use in different types of assistants, and you can just enable them or disable them from the buttons here. And for your customized entities, so first the entity starts with the @ and then it's kind of like a dictionary when you add to it. So it has the values, and then corona, virus check, and so on. So it tells you of the possible synonyms of coronavirus, for example. So maybe another example is if you're going to create pet, and you want all of your pets to be of the same type. It can be pet, and then it can be cat, it can be dog, and it can be bird. For example, if you're using them in the same category. Otherwise, they might have to be in different values, but this is based on your own decision. So you can use it in different ways, and you can go creative with the way you're naming your entities. And it can be very helpful with the way you're, you know, creating them. So for example, as well, here's the pattern. You can also add patterns in, so here there are two types of values, synonyms and patterns. And for this one, it is using, you can say it's like regex. So it can be very helpful when like you don't have a specific length or a specific word. You can also use the fuzzy matching. If you enable it, it will help you in case of the user is going to misspell a word or like a sentence. And then you can also import it and export it as well, just as intents. And then for the last feature, which is the dialogue, this shows you the flow of your conversation, and it consists of nodes. And so each node, it has its own conditions. So, and you can also have folders, and inside the folders, for example, you have API. It shows you it can have more than one node. So you can categorize them in folders. So I will explain some of the nodes here. For example, starting with the set confidence threshold, and this is where the conversation kind of starts, and it just shows you like so it is kind of like a node that has nodes inside of it, child nodes. Yeah, so it has two nodes inside of it, which are the first one, and it tells you that if there is any detection of input, then it will go to greetings. And as you can see, it says jump to greetings. Otherwise, it will jump to anything else, which is the very end. And that's the end of the conversation. Yeah. And then for example, greetings node, it shows you the name of the greetings. And then there is a conditional statement. And it says here, if assistant recognizes intent greeting, and if the confidence is set to larger than 0.95, then the assistant will respond with the following text. You can also add multiple, like different types of responses. It can be option, a pause, or an image, or anything. You can also add HTML code and scripts inside of these text boxes. And they are very helpful because sometimes you need them to like be structured in a specific, pattern or way. And it can be very helpful, especially in Arabic. So this is just a point that I would like to point it out. So if you're building a chatbot in Arabic, all you have to do is to do a division and then direction equal to right to left. This is very important in my opinion because it can just show you, and then you would just write your text inside of it. Yeah. And yeah, so you just write the text, and this is very helpful because if you don't actually do it like that, when in Arabic or different languages, you will notice the difference, especially if you're using Latin alphabets or English or anything that's not from the same language. So yeah, for the second node that I'm explaining, which is inside the API folder, which is how many cases. And this one, it has webhook enabled in it. So as you can see, it shows you the parameter of type, of key type and value API. We will be talking about it in a bit using the Cloud Functions. You can also enable the webhook on a node from here in the Customize, and it can show you, like, you just enable them from this option. And then you would just add your webhook. For the slots option, it gives you, like, it enables you to gather information, like from multiple nodes into single node. So you can also find more information here about slots. You can also enable multiple condition responses. Let me check if there is an option for that, like a node that can show you. Yeah, so, okay, I'll create a new node and show you how it's going to show you when you're creating multiple options, multiple conditions. So this is like if else, if else. So if assistant recognizes A, then it responds with A, for example, or 1. So I'm just adding them like randomly, so no need to follow along with this. So B is 2, so and so on. You can also use context values in Watson Assistant, and basically, let me just remove that one. Yeah. You can use them. Let me check if there are. Okay. So we have the only context variable in this application is low confidence. And low confidence is like you would just set the value of it and check, you would save values in it, and then you will be able to use them in your conditions. So yeah, so these are just the basics of Watson Assistant I'm explaining. You can even explore more and learn more about it and how you can develop it, but I will move on to with the hands-on and then explain more as I'm building the application. So yeah, so after we created the assistant, okay, we'll show you the preview in a bit. Can try it now. Okay, so there you can find the preview link here. And if you open it, okay, that's weird. Okay, so it could be because I messed around with the assistant a little bit. So we can, if it doesn't work with us, we can still test it and try it here. And as you can see, so this shows you the exact responses we're getting in the preview link as well. So we can ask it like, what are the symptoms of COVID-19? So it shows you that what kind of symptoms that are common in COVID-19. Yeah, you can ask it so many questions based on the how your chatbot is built. So for the next part, we're going to integrate it with data sources, and we're going to use Watson Discovery COVID-19 API, which is from the John Hopkins API, and then the weather company data. So we have already created the Watson Discovery, and so we need to keep note of our credentials. Okay, let's go to Watson Discovery now. So what we'll be using with Watson Discovery is the news. We're not going to be processing documents. So it's going to be real time, and we don't really have to do much work. We only need the credentials of Watson Discovery. So with Watson Discovery, as I mentioned, you can analyze documents, whether from documents or data sources, and it can be very, it speeds up your work. And we're going to use the Watson Discovery News, which is, it brings you the latest news. It can be related to anything, but mostly right now it's going to be related to coronavirus. And you can find that it has around 13 million documents, and it summarizes like all of the information related to the documents that are enriched and analyzed. So if you go to build your query, here is where you can search for documents. You can analyze them in NLP, in natural language, and you will get the results in the summary. And if you are using your own resources that are not like already ready-made, you will be able to train Watson here. So we're going to need the credentials from the page where like you first open the discovery service. Okay. So we're going to also need the collection ID and environment ID, and they will be used in Cloud Functions as well. So let me just, okay. And then for the collection ID and environment ID, we can find it from here. When you first log in, there is an API drop down here. save them here, and we're going to use them in a bit. Environment ID system. Yeah. So after that, so you will need for this tutorial is to get a weather API key, and this tells you about the weather news. If you go to the link and you register, you will get it. You will receive an email right away with an API key for you. I have already generated one here. And then after that, we're going to jump into working with Cloud Functions. You can search in the search bar, and this one we'll be using this. Start creating. And we're going to create an action for this tutorial. So an action helps you to invoke events using REST API calls, and let's call it crisis API, for example. And we're going with the default package, and we're going to pick the Node.js version 10, because the code that we will be using is written in Node.js. Okay. Now, after that, we're going to the Git repository. Yeah, and it's going to be under action, COVID-19 webhook. Yes, okay. We can copy the code, or you can just install it and then. Okay, so I will try to zoom in. Okay, so this is the code that where we will be running, like connecting to the APIs. And so in the example, it's showing you states like with their codes and so on. And you can see that showing you that it has variable request, like it's including the module request promise, and then the Watson discovery module, in addition to, and then there's this function, a math function. So here is where we're going to make changes in this function, which is the main function. And as it's showing you an if statement, and if the parameter type API, and if you noticed earlier, that's where our webhook, it had the parameter key value of key of API and the value of API. And in this case, if the type is API, and then it's going to call this John Hopkins API. If you find the link, it shows you a summary of the cases of COVID-19 in the world, with the countries, their codes, number of cases, total deaths and recoveries, and the latest date of the update. If the location, if there's a detection of a location, then it's going to call this API, which is the weather API, and that's where we're going to add the key for it. Okay. And then if you can also return total cases in the specific from that John Hopkins API. Yeah, and then here it's going to be like, you know, the for loop, and it's checking the countries and their codes. And then here is going also returning the results of the total cases and recovered and so on. Yeah. And here is where we're going to add the Watson Discovery API. So we have the version ready. Let's add the, okay, let me check where are they, like, Okay, so it's going to be here. I think we're going to change it here. Let me double check. Okay. So let's take the API key from here. I'm just going to add them to the code. This is the URL for discovery. Okay. And then there is the environment ID, which is in use English. Okay. And then the collection ID here. Yeah, it should be like that. Okay. And then we're going to have to add for the weather API key parameters. Let me check where we can find the okay. Okay. So I'm just adding the API keys. Let me double check if there is anything else. Okay, wait a second. I think I don't have to replace the code here. Okay, I just messed up, sorry. It happens. Okay, so the code that we're not going to replace it here. Kind of forgot about that. Apologies. So we're going to replace them not in the code, in the parameters. I'm sorry about that. Okay. So the parameters that we're going to use are, let me double check. The API key, the URL, collection ID, and the environment ID. And then URL. And then environment ID. Yeah. And we're going to just, okay. We're going to add the API key here. Okay, and we're going to save it. So after that, we're going to take the endpoint and we're going to enable it. So the one that we will be enabling is the HTTP method, and you can go here. And Yeah, it should be this one. Okay. We're going to get the post method, and we're going to add the webhook to our Watson Assistant. So we're going to add it to in the options. This is where we're going to add the webhook. And yeah, after that, let me double check. We're going to have to enable the webhook in which node, which is the latest news node. And I think it is already enabled. Let's double check. Okay, so see, it's already enabled here. If it's not enabled, you can just enable it from the customize option. And I think it already finished it. Yeah, now we're going to have to do some edits, I believe. Let me double check if, okay, so US infection level. So this is latest news on COVID-19. We already filled them and everything is just as the tutorial. And then we're going to have to, okay, let's give it a try. Let's see how it's going to work. Latest news on COVID-19, for example. Oh, sorry. Okay. So I think there is something that you have to double check on. News coronavirus. Okay, so it's kind of weird. Let me double check if there is something missing. Okay, so we added the webhook here and it should work fine. Okay, so we're going to test it. Did it even train? Let me check. Okay, so it should be training. So I think it didn't train earlier. So let's double check. Okay, let's check again. Okay, I'll try to resolve the issue we're facing right now. I'm not sure why. I could have missed on one of the steps. Let's double check on that. If anyone got an idea, it's fine. You can just let me know. Oh, okay. Okay, let's take a look at it right now. So I have updated this one. Yeah, I think I was wrong. Let's see. Webhook is enabled. Okay, so let's add a new node as it shows in the tutorial, and it's going to be US infection level, and we're going to add the condition, which is, so this one is creating a new intent. So it doesn't really need to work with it. Okay. I think I might have messed up something in the code or in the API. I'm not sure. Okay, so meanwhile, while I'm trying to resolve everything right now, so does anyone have any questions or would like anything to be clarified? Just let me know and I'll be happy to help. Okay. Okay, so there is the option. Let's double check. Okay, let's test the chatbot and see what are the symptoms. Okay, and then number of cases. Okay, let's try this link. Okay, now it's training. Now, hopefully this will work. Let's check with the intents. So how many cases of okay, at least it's giving us a new error. Okay. So I'm not sure actually why it's giving me the error, but it should work. Just make sure that you're using I think the public URL, because if you're going to use the REST API, it's going to like need authentication or something, even though it shouldn't. Like it should work as well. We can also give it a try. Let me see if we. Okay, so there could be an issue with the Cloud Functions. I'll try again. Okay, let's do it really quick, and we'll see. Okay. Okay, so this should do it. And then we're going to enable it as web action. Okay, we should try the public URL. Let's give it a test one last time and hopefully it will work. Okay, so what kind of questions would you like me to ask it? Do you have any kind of questions? Like, for example, let's ask, can I get COVID-19 from my pet? So it does answer your queries, and latest news. Let's see if it's going to give us the error one more time. So I'm not entirely sure. Content type header. I will double check with the error, and I will try to resolve it or find where the issue is coming from after the webinar, because I don't want to take so much time, much more than this. So I mean, I hope, like, I mean, apologies for that. I will reply back about this. So I'm going to actually wrap up the webinar after this. The only thing is that I'm going to share with you these links as well. Okay. These links, you can find so many resources for your applications using different services and technologies using developer.ibm.com. And you can also check our meetup page for events and Red Hat developer, and also some learning resources to learn more about different technologies and resources. Yeah. So I will be sharing the slides with you in the Slack channel. And one more thing is that I'll be talking about Call for Code. Call for Code is an initiative that aims to bring solutions to the world. And this year, goals are two goals actually, with a focus on climate change and the COVID-19 pandemic. Focusing on the water sustainability, energy sustainability, and disaster resiliency for the climate change. And for COVID-19, focusing on crisis communication, remote education, community cooperation. So if you would like to participate, submit your projects to the initiative, you will get a chance to win $200K in cash, in addition to support from the Linux Foundation, and for your project to be implemented for the communities that need it. You can visit callforcode.org, and as developer advocates, we will be supporting you to help you to submit your projects in the initiative. And yeah, if like we are here for you, like to support you in the initiative. And you can also join the Slack workspace if you're participating. And yeah, you can also reach out to me on Slack, or you can also reach out to me on my email for any questions. And thank you so much.
Thank you